Name me one person who enjoys going to the dentist. I'm pretty sure we all dread the dentist chair, but at least we have modern tools and techniques that allow us to basically go through it pain-free. Now imagine having a root canal without any numbing at all. This was the reality for most of human history. We're going to be diving into some of the most gruesome history of dentistry. From ancient toothworm, hi, how you doing, to Victorian era transplants. These horrifying routines will make your next dentist visit seem like a spa day. Hey, this is a brand new channel. If you could hit that subscribe button, I would be very, very thankful. Number 10. Ancient Chinese tooth drilling. In ancient Chinese dentistry, beauty was a pain. Imagine walking into a dental office, and I use that term loosely, to get your pearly whites sharpened. In ancient China, having filled teeth was all the rage. It was like the Instagram filter of the day, but a lot more permanent and with a lot more pain. The procedure was very painful. Well, it was about as pleasant as it sounds. A dentist would take a file and grind away your teeth. No anesthesia, just pure grit and probably a lot of screaming. Now you're probably thinking, why would anyone go through this? Well, for the status. Sharp teeth meant that you were at the top of the food chain. But let's be real, the risks were no joke. Infection, nerve damage, not to mention never being able to eat an apple again. Oh no, no vegetables, what am I ever going to do? Oh, what a shame. But that is nothing compared to number 9. Number 9, Victorian Era Dentistry. In the Victorian era, dentistry was a real toxic affair. Suppose for a second that you've got a toothache and you must head to the dentist. Little do you know that you're about to get a mouthful of poison. Dental amalgam was the go-to fix. It was a mixture of silver, tin, copper, and, well, maybe mercury. They'd mix this cocktail right before you and then stuff it into your cavity. And any smart person would probably say, hey, wait, putting mercury in my mouth is probably not a good idea. And, well, yeah, you'd be right. It was a filling that would slowly poison you. But wait, there's more. Some dentists threw lead into the mix for good measure, because mercury wasn't enough. Why stop at one neurotoxin when you can have 2? And the health effects were not pretty. Mercury poisoning could lead to tremors, memory loss, and even madness. And lead? Well, that's a whole nother can of worms. Just like this one would cause infection, so will number 8. Number 8. Ancient Egyptian tooth extraction. As lovely as it sounds, ancient Egyptian tooth extraction was no walk along the Nile. It was a horrifying ordeal that tested the endurance of even the toughest patients. With no modern anesthesia available, the only option to dull the pain were alcohol, opium, or physical restraints. Faced with a rotten or damaged tooth, patients had a brutal choice. Endure the unbearable agony of extraction or let the decay continue, risking severe infection. Those who chose extraction had to brace themselves. Let's do a thought experiment for 1 second. You've just finished a hard day's labor in ancient Egypt, and you have a sore tooth. So you think, hey, I'm going to go to the dentist. What's the worst that can happen? That's when you get into the dentist quote-unquote office and he hands you a beer? Next thing you know, you're laying down with some sharp instruments prying and tearing at your fragile teeth embedded in your swollen gums. And your teeth are quite strong, so the dentist might have needed leverage. Imagine a dentist bracing his knee on a chair and yanking out your tooth with all his might without any kind of anesthesia. I think I would probably prefer number 7 in this case. Number 7. Medieval European bloodletting. Medieval European bloodletting was a cure-all that could kill you. Got a toothache? Let's drain some blood. Feeling feverish? More blood, please. These medieval doctors were like vampires with medical licenses. The process was simple but gruesome. They'd use a special knife called a phleem to open a vein, often in the arm or neck. Then they'd let the bad blood flow into a bowl. The quantity depended on how sick you were and how much the doctor thought you could spare. And if you didn't feel like being cut open, they had leeches. These slimy little guys were applied directly to the gums for dental issues. Nothing says dental care quite like a mouthful of leeches, right? The theory behind this madness was that the illness was caused by an imbalance of the 4 humours: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Draining blood was supposed to restore this balance. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. And if you went to the toilet before your entire blood supply was drained, number 6 was just for you. Number 6. Urine as a mouthwash. In ancient Rome, the phrase waste not, want not was taken to a new level. The secret to the pearly whites was urine. Urine was the mouthwash of choice for those toga-wearing dental pioneers. They'd collect human urine, let it sit for a while, because aged urine was apparently better, and then take a swigful and swish it around their mouth. Now you're probably thinking, is this logical? Well, kind of. It contains ammonia, which does have some cleaning properties. They believed it whitened their teeth and fought off some gum disease. And the most interesting thing to know here is it's not just any urine would do. Portuguese urine was considered top tier and imported specifically for the Roman elite. It was a luxury item. If you couldn't afford the fancy foreign stuff, your own urine would do. This practice wasn't limited to just the Romans. Urine would remain a popular dental care product well into the 18th century. So next time you complain about the taste of modern mouthwash, just remember, it could be piss. Number 5. 19th century dentures were made from real teeth of deceased people. In the late 18th to early 19th century, the dental world had a magnificent solution for those needing replacement teeth. Dentures were often crafted using teeth sourced from the most unexpected places, the mouths of dead, the poor, and even slaves. This grim practice wasn't limited to the fringes of society. Even George Washington, America's first president, sported dentures made from the teeth extracted from slaves. The demand for human teeth reached its peak after major battles. With the Battle of Waterloo in 1815 providing a particularly gruesome bounty, scavengers would roam the battlefield, prying teeth from the jaws of fallen soldiers. These Waterloo teeth were highly prized for their quality and durability. I'm not sure what kind of quality you're going to get with the next one. Number 4. Barber and Blacksmith. Back in the day, if you had a toothache, you'd probably end up at your local barber or blacksmith. These guys were the go-to dentists of their time. The barbers, who were already handy with sharp tools, would yank out bad teeth between haircuts. And blacksmiths, with their strength and ironworking skills, tackled the tougher extractions. Can you imagine the strongest dude in your town just pulling out your teeth? That's not a fun day. These makeshift dentists use basic tools like pliers or even their bare hands. And for pain relief, well, you'd usually just get a slug of whiskey. Infections were common and hygiene was, well, let's just say it wasn't a priority. And if you didn't fancy getting your teeth pulled out by some hench dude with some pliers, let's go for number 3. We'll buzz back 6,500 years when our Neolithic ancestors stumbled across a sweet solution for tooth decay: beeswax. These Stone Age dentists were filling cavities before they even invented the wheel. Archaeologists discovered this ancient dental work in Slovenia inside a cracked canine tooth. The process was relatively straightforward. The beeswax, heated to make it malleable, was carefully placed into the cavity of the rotten tooth. Once it cooled down, it hardened and provided a temporary solution to cover the exposed nerve and prevent further decay. It wasn't a permanent solution, however, but it did offer some pain relief and it made it possible to chew without too much discomfort. And moving on to number 2, where viewer discretion is probably advised. Around 3000 BC, the pyramid building pioneers were also poking holes in jaws. Egyptian dentists were likely priests or physicians. They used hand drills to bore tiny holes in the jawbone near infected teeth. But the problem is, they didn't have any anesthesia either. So imagine being completely awake and someone drilling directly into your jawbone. And surprisingly, evidence shows that some of these dental patients survived the ordeal. The healed bone around the drill holes proved it wasn't always a death sentence. And finally, number 1. Something that will probably hit home for many of you: drawstring dentistry. In the early days of dentistry, people had to get pretty creative with their toothache solutions, and few methods were as hair-raising as drawstring dentistry. Picture this: you're in a rural area with no dentists and a rotten tooth that's driving you mad. So what do? You grab a piece of string and a door and brace yourself for one wild ride. Here's how it would go down. You tie one end of the string to the bad tooth and the other end to the door handle. Then, with a deep breath and a prayer, someone would slam the door shut. And the result would be your tooth would get yanked out in one swift, pretty violent motion. Which one of those methods would you prefer to have your teeth removed? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, brand new channel. If you want to subscribe, that'll be cool. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.